Dubrovnik, Croatia, an epic fortified town. Built from limestone that has endured for many generations. Full of inspiring architecture and bearing the scars of war from being under siege in 1991 when she was hit with over 2,000 bombs. And yet that hardly compares to the earthquake of 1667 that nearly leveled the entire town and claimed approximately 5,000 lives. Today she is a mix of old and new, but she stands strong and lively, as over 1 million tourists flock to see her magnificence each year. It is no wonder that a town of such grandeur was chosen as the set of King's Landing in the masterpiece Game of Thrones. I'm Dylan Magaster.
I'm Tara Ware.
We sailed to Dubrovnik and teamed up with Tom.
Hey, winter is coming. Hi, I'm Tom. I'm Dubrovnik tour guide.
To bring you a unique tour of this unparalleled city.
Winter is coming!
Entering the 14th century fort via the drawbridge, we turn around and see very clearly that we have reached our first film location, the gates of King's Landing. We get to experience a similar, albeit more commercialized and placid, feeling as when Jamie returned to the city. Still in Pilegate, before entering into Old Town, is our next film location when Joffrey and his royal escort get harassed by the people. They all quickly escape the riot and duck into the Red Keep, which is a bit of film magic because we get transported into the fort of St. Lawrence.
The fort in present day shape is standing like this from 1639, and apparently there was a chapel of St. Lawrence that was built on this site. Technically, the chapel being built there was built so that the Venetians could not attack it. Why? If they destroyed the chapel, they would risk upsetting Pope, and Pope was not the person you want to mess with in the Middle Ages. He had the army, navy, and the power to communicate.
From the fort, we overlook Blackwater Bay and get an impressive view of Old Town.
Standing in the fort, we can only imagine the effort that it must have required to create. But to convert it into a set is rather easy. Add a fake wall, grab these old lamps, and now we have an entrance to the keep.
Sansa is lagging behind the Hound. You didn't have to look far for Sansa, because she was already inside here. So this may be the castle of King's Landing, can be Red Keep. But it's also stable where Sansa was almost raised. So if we just go across the corridor and step inside here.
Holding my dress.
You have to look terrified.
Another glimpse into the creativity and magic that is filmmaking.
This fort has served as many film sets for Game of Thrones, but don't forget that it was also a functioning, well-built fortress.
So this wall is much thicker than the wall facing the city. So even though this looks quite symmetric, that wall is about 6 times thinner. Why? Because it's designed for defense, not for the attack. So if somebody breaches, they wouldn't accomplish much because you can easily breach that wall by the cannons from the old town. So it's designed for defense, not for the attack.
Well struck, dog.
Look how the stone wall that they use for cannons. This particular scene, it looks like a pyramid.
We locked up the fortress, and before heading back to Old Town, tour guide Tom is going to show us some lesser-known gems.
Over here we have what remains of the former fishing settlement, let's say. And summer months are actually pretty cool because this is like one of the most hidden beaches. So if you happen to be in Dubrovnik, I would definitely recommend this one.
Tom drives us to the private port of the nobleman Ivan Marinov Gusetic Gazi. This is a local gem and a familiar location.
Last time I saw her,
I know he did.
Most people stop here, but if you continue on a little further, we arrive at a secret location.
mind yourself.
Looking at the concrete ground, you can see that they painted on the mosaic for staging.
So we got into the Tristan Arboretum now, known popularly as Tyrell Gardens. Probably gonna move along the path, but around the camera, as you can see, there's a camera over there. We sort of are trespassing, which is going to happen once more on this tour. It wouldn't be fair to say that I never did it. I did it before, and I was lucky. I hope you're gonna be like it today as well. I can explain that the gardens are closed for the reasons of safety because the trees were falling down. So it's at our own risk, but I don't see Bura. Maybe Scirocco, yes, today, but not Bura. The gazebo, which we could not really see, but I have my plans of getting you there as well, which is in front of the house where they have their offices for the gardens. That would be used during the 1500s and 1600s for evening meal. It would be too hot to eat over there during summer months. So here, where it was cool, which was by the water, was where they would serve lunch. So this would be shaded loggia for lunch. And this is also where the murder weapon was produced.
You're drunk?
Yes.
That's Poseidon in the middle, to his wife Amphitrite on the left, his son Triton on the right. This one was built in 1736. There was an older fountain which collapsed within the earthquake in 1660. Behind the fountain is the aqueduct.
Despite the Roman and Greek god statues, this fountain was used subtly in many scenes.
Poem, actually. I couldn't very well refuse a royal escort.
I didn't realize you were a poet.
Tom was telling us that these plants were brought in on ships. All of this dirt was brought in on ships over the course of years to create this giant garden.
By the way, now this is the old oil press. Putting the olives inside these, crushing the olives into a pot.
Ah, there we go.
Then what you do, you put one on top of the other and you slowly squeezing the oil. This is the first press, cold press, or what Italians call extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is just the marketing. I mean, a virgin is a virgin, it can't be extra virgin. This one here would be used probably for hot press. There's also the third procedure that you could use adding chemicals, but it's funny, it's called olive oil made of sansa, which is an interesting detail, but that oil is not so good. That's probably the one you should avoid. This would be for the wine. According to Croatian law, wine is not considered alcohol. It's considered as food. It's taxed differently. Wine and beer are not alcohol in Croatia. That's what the law says, I don't know.
The Gazebo, another place where a myriad of scenes were filmed.
Perhaps I should just let Joffrey choose it for me.
After our discreet tour of the Arboretum, we headed to Old Town. This monastery is one of the few things that survived the earthquake of 1667.
Senior citizen nursing home has been working since when?
From 1400s.
1400s, and it still works today. And a lot of those senior citizens have lived inside the walls their whole life.
They probably never moved out of the old town. The old town is a town within a town. It has a little hospital, an elementary school, high school, music school, university, actually part of university, and originally they used the towers on the walls to store the grain. But in 1590, they drilled 15 underground silos on the cliffside that we saw from the fort to store the grain. 2-year supply for the population of the city. It took about 42 years to complete it.
That was filmed right here. As we continued around Old Town, we came across many film locations.
Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
Arriving in this courtyard, we came across one of the most well-known scenes in all of Game of Thrones.
His Grace King Robert and begged for forgiveness.
Shame.
Dubrovnik has embraced Game of Thrones tourism. The Walk of Shame was filmed all over Old Town.
But the final bit was filmed outside of the east entrance to Old Town. That's a bit more film magic for you.
We were able to peek our heads into Rector's Palace, and from Game of Thrones, we can get an idea of what the palace looks like.
Forgive me.
We are headed to the Belvedere Hotel, which is an abandoned hotel where they filmed the fight between the Mountain and the Red Viper.
That's St. Jacob's Beach down there. This is how you deliver things to St. Jacob's Beach. According to Tom, St. Jacob's Beach
Is the best beach around.
This is an old elevator that used to belong to Hotel Belvedere. It's an abandoned hotel here. The elevator used to go down to the beach.
And this cat has been treated. They gave her shots.
Oh,
Because you can see the ear is clipped.
that's how you know.
So you know, that's
good
why
to
you
know.
can touch her. This part of the tour has been taken off the list for a couple of reasons. One, the Russian guy bought this place. Okay, you can see the view of the old town from here. It's fairly amazing. But it is an abandoned hotel that looks like something from Mad Max and it's a post-apocalyptic feel, definitely. The time is obvious. It's because we're losing daylight.
Shall we get this shot?
You need this building because Tyrion was standing over there. You're gonna recognize everything thanks to this building.
Gather to ascertain.
Being curious and loving abandoned places, I had to take a look around. This video by no means covers all the places that we visited with Tom. He is a wealth of information and an absolute joy to be around. Tom runs both Game of Thrones and just history tours all around Dubrovnik. We even went all the way up to Stan to see the Great Wall of Croatia. I would highly recommend you check out his link in the description if you're planning a trip to Dubrovnik. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this week's video, subscribe. Share this video with a friend who loves Game of Thrones and would be interested in going to Dubrovnik. Thank you most of all to the patrons who support this channel. We appreciate you. Big love. Have a great week.
In the sinkhole.
And there you have it, folks.